Think back to your first birthday. Try it. Picture the cake, the candle, the faces around you. You can't. No one can. You lived through hundreds of days as a baby, absorbing more information per hour than you ever will again as an adult, and yet almost none of it survived. Somewhere between the ages of 2 and 4, your entire early life quietly disappeared. Scientists call it infantile amnesia, but the real answer for why it happens is far stranger than simple forgetting. Your brain didn't lose those memories. It never filed them in the first place. Here's what actually happened inside your skull as a baby. Your brain was growing faster than at any other point in your life. New neurons were being produced by the millions, especially in a small seahorse-shaped structure called the hippocampus. Decode that term for a second. The hippocampus is your brain's memory librarian, the part responsible for stitching moments into stories you can recall later. In infancy, that librarian was still being hired, trained, and given a desk. It simply wasn't operational yet. Neuroscientist Paul Franklin, working at the University of Toronto, ran an experiment that reframed this whole mystery. He and his team studied infant mice and found something counterintuitive. The rapid production of new neurons in the young hippocampus, a process called neurogenesis, wasn't just failing to preserve memories. It was actively erasing them. New cells were wiring themselves into existing memory circuits and scrambling the connections before they could stabilize. Your baby brain wasn't a broken recorder. It was a construction site, and every new worker walking in accidentally kicked over the previous day's blueprints. Isn't it strange that the very thing making your brain smarter was also the thing making it forget? But neurogenesis is only half the story. The other half is language. Psychologist Carol Peterson at Memorial University of Newfoundland spent years studying how children narrate their own pasts. She found that memory isn't just about storing an experience. It's about being able to talk about it, to yourself and to others, in a structure with a beginning, a middle, and an end. A 1-year-old doesn't have that structure. A 1-year-old barely has words. Without language to scaffold an experience into a retrievable story, the experience floats loose in the brain, disconnected from the kind of narrative hooks that adults use to pull memories back out later. Think about how you remember something from last week. You don't just see a flash of an image. You tell yourself a mini story. I was at the coffee shop. My friend was late. We talked about her new job. That narrative structure is the retrieval system. Babies don't have the software installed yet. So the memories weren't stored badly. They were stored in a format your older brain can no longer read. There's a researcher who takes this even further. Patricia Bauer at Emory University has spent decades tracking when children's autobiographical memory systems come online. Her work shows that toddlers actually can form memories that last weeks, sometimes months. 2-year-olds have been shown, in careful lab studies, to recall specific events from half a year earlier. So the memories exist. They're just fragile, unindexed, and easily overwritten by the flood of new experience that childhood provides every single day. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. If 2-year-olds can remember things for months, why can't you remember anything from when you were 2? The answer is the great overwrite. Between infancy and roughly age 7, your brain is undergoing the most aggressive restructuring it will ever experience. Old neural pathways are pruned, new ones are laid down. The hippocampus itself is maturing, learning to bind experiences to time and place in the adult way. Somewhere in that construction chaos, the early, fragile, languageless memories get buried under sturdier, better organized ones. Not destroyed, buried. Some researchers believe faint traces might still exist. Inaccessible, like books shelved in a library with no index card and no title on the spine. This is why so-called recovered memories from infancy are treated with such caution by scientists. Elizabeth Loftus, whose decades of research reshaped how psychologists think about memory reliability, has repeatedly demonstrated how easily the brain can construct a vivid, emotionally convincing memory of something that never happened, or reconstruct a real event with details borrowed from photographs, family stories, or imagination. That warm memory you have of your 3rd birthday party might not be a memory at all. It might be a photograph you've seen 50 times, rebuilt by your brain into something that feels lived. Doesn't that change how you think about your own childhood photo albums? Now here's the twist that makes this less a story about babies and more a story about you, right now. Your brain is still doing this. Not to the same extreme degree, but the mechanism never fully switches off. Adult brains still generate new neurons in the hippocampus, just far more slowly. Periods of intense learning, intense stress, or major life transitions still reshuffle how memories get filed. That's part of why the years of a big move, a new job, or a new relationship can feel strangely compressed or scrambled when you look back on them. Your memory system is not a filing cabinet. It's a living, renovating building, and every era of your life gets built partly on top of the era before it. So the fog covering your first 3 years of life isn't a flaw in the machine. It's the cost of the machine working exactly as designed. A brain that keeps every single early memory in permanent, high-resolution storage would be a brain too rigid to learn language, too rigid to build the flexible, story-driven mind that let you become who you are now. Forgetting your infancy was the price of gaining a self capable of remembering anything at all. You spent your first years as the most powerful learning machine you will ever be, absorbing a new language, the rules of gravity, the faces of the people who loved you, and none of it stuck in the way adult memories stick, because the very act of learning it all was busy rewriting the shelves underneath it. Try picturing that first birthday cake again. You still can't. But now you know why. It isn't a gap. It's a receipt for everything you built on top of it.